again to discuss things.
Well, you gotta make it all. You gotta give your iPad more.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Okay, you ready to go ahead and get started?
I think so.
Okay.
Let's talk about Big Gorilla Man.
Yep, that. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. Joining me today is a very special guest hailing all the way from the land of supervillainy. I have, very, very pleased to say, Mr. Goodplot on the show. Hello, Mr. Goodplot.
Hello. It's Florida, by the way.
Florida is the land of supervillainy?
Yes.
Oh.
And I'm not just saying that just as a joke. That's literally where I'm from.
Awesome. So anyway, Mr. Goodplot was the winner of the last season of Who Reviews the Reviewers, and as always, I like to invite the contestants on to the show. Goodplot, you are the very first winner of Who Reviews the Reviewers that we've had on, though.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's like, how, Mr. Fusion, how could you?
Yeah, I tried to get Wait, did we? No, Lance has never been on. I tried to get him on one time, but it never happened. What can you do?
And Aaron
Anyway.
Dicer, you a-hole.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. It just... I'm sure Aaron loved that, too.
Hey. Hopefully he knows I'm joking.
Hopefully. If not, you're a supervillain. What's he gonna do? You can ray blast him or whatever.
I have a budget.
So anyway, Goodplot kind of picked this topic, and I was really slow in getting around to finishing it all off. But Goodplot, what are we talking about this time?
We are talking about the Netflix animated series, Voltron Legendary Defender.
No, that is not.
Oh man! I love that show.
I wish that's what we could be talking about, because that at least sounds, from what I've heard, good.
And
whereas,
it is.
That's disappointing. Because this is not. But what we're really talking about, is Kong, King of the Apes. Which is... Yeah, so we were doing our regular episode of Geeky Gentlemen last night, and we were talking about the evolution of animation. And right at the end of that, we were going through lists, like, we were each gonna list the worst possible animated thing, movie, or series we've seen, and at first I couldn't think of anything. And then I was like, wait, I'm recording with Goodplot tomorrow night, and this is probably the worst animated thing I've ever seen. So I say, okay, here's how we're ending the episode. Kong, King of the Apes, worst thing ever. Well, you can hear me talk about it next time on Geeky Gentlemen. And so here we are, to talk about Kong, King of the Apes.
Yes. You were talking about the evolution of animation. You know how there's these memes of that evolution chart of the monkey walking into and becoming a human, and you know how those memes always have like an extra one after the human to show irony? Well,
yeah.
So in this case, that extra one is Kong, King of the Apes.
Yeah, it is so, like, this series just boggles my mind with all the different ways in which it is awful. That I don't know where to really begin on what to tear it apart for. I mean, I'm insulted on practically every level with this. I really like CG animation. I do CG animation, and this is some of the worst CG animation I've ever seen done by a professional studio. I think that telling good stories in things marketed toward children is important, because at an early age it instills children with the sense of what makes a good story. This is terrible storytelling. Everything in this is just so bad. What did you think?
Well, I thought that this show would have been amazing if it came out in the early 2000s, like 1999, 2000 era, circa.
Mm-hmm.
Because it very much feels like one of those shows back then, like during the extreme period of time, back in the late '90s. You know, extreme.
Yeah, I could see that. And this just isn't, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's trying to capture it's 10 years late. Really. That is a good way to look at it. And it's still like it'd still be bad, but it'd be nostalgically, oh, it was a product of its time bad. Now it's just there's no excuse for it to be this bad.
And
there's no excuse for the animation to look this shit.
Mm-hmm.
There's not. I've done better animation than that, and it's I'm so mad.
And what's ironic is that there actually is a King Kong animated show from that era, and it's probably less dated than this.
Oh God. See, I talked about the pilot of this with Bill on his channel, and like he told me some of the history of King Kong and animation and how it's been kind of kooky and weird. But God, this is too much, man. I have no interest in, after seeing this, going to seek out any other King Kong animated properties.
I mean, for me, it was the opposite effect, because when I was watching it, I was thinking, maybe that early 2000s or 1990s cartoon is probably, maybe that's more interesting than this.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's just like, you just get demoralized by things, right? It just, you watch something and it's just like, oh, this is just so painful. And it turns you off to experiencing anything else with that character or franchise. And that's, I mean, I'll still watch Godzilla vs. King Kong when that comes out, but...
And the movie next year.
Yeah,
it's like Vietnam.
I'll probably watch that. But I don't think I'm going to be seeking out too much more Kong stuff after this experience.
But it didn't affect me that way. I think it's because the King Kong franchise as a whole is very, very loose. Like, really, the only consistent thing about the King Kong franchise is that there's a giant gorilla, and that's kind of it.
Yeah. And importantly here, he's not even called King Kong, right?
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. Like, I wonder if that's how they got through, like, legal rights.
I don't know. That legitimately bothers me. And then there's, like, other little things about it that bothered me. Like, did you notice that the title of the show is in the same font from the newest Planet of the Apes films?
No, I did not realize that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
There's like little stuff like that. Where like just any originality that this could possibly have would be great.
Yeah, I know, it's extremely derivative. Like,
yes.
Like, even though I said that it's like early 90s era shows, I meant by that, like, the look of it. Like, when it comes to the actual plots, like, that's like early 80s type situations where, back when cartoons were mainly made just to sell toys.
Yeah, and I don't know. And, like, I don't even think I'd want any toys from this, because all you'd get is Kong toys
and
dinosaurs. And like, none of the dinosaurs are really distinct or cool.
Yeah, I know. It's like you can go to any Toys R Us and just get generic dinosaurs.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's weird because, I mean, you have... Let's get into the show itself, because there's the, like, one brother that turns out to be evil, and big fucking surprise there. He creates, like, this little... It's a fucking... raptor bot like you have in toy stores now, but it's just big and metal. He creates like a robot Tyrannosaurus Rex, and he's evil because his dad wouldn't let him make it shiny, and Kong ruined him making it shinier. But anyway, he makes this thing, and then it's like, okay, so that's seeding where we're gonna have Kong fighting T-Rexes. Okay, yeah, sure, that makes sense. He'll fight robot T-Rexes. That's cool. And then, yes, he is fighting robot T-Rexes, but they don't look like robots. And I'm just like, why would you decide to make them look more like actual dinosaurs? Why not just give it something to make it feel distinct, as opposed to almost like normal dinosaurs?
They're like dinosaurs with like, armor.
Yeah, it just...
I see you have a lot of held-up rage over all these months. of
Oh, see,
slowly
like, here's the
getting through
thing.
this.
Yeah, so when I was originally tweeting about how bad the pilot was, is when Good Plot here messaged me about doing this, and I was like, oh, okay, sure, I'd be willing to do that. And then he's like, I want to watch the whole series, would you? And I'm like, fuck you, dude. Why would you do this to me?
I didn't tell you to do it. I just said that I was going to do it, and I wanted to know if you were. Okay? I'll take that to court. That's what I'll say to the judge.
Oh man, no. So I sat there and I got through all 12. I got through 12 of the 13 episodes, and for like the longest time, there was only one more episode that I had to watch. But I just couldn't make myself do it. It's so bad. I was like one episode away from finishing it for like a good 2 months, and I feel bad for that. But at the same time, can you blame me?
I don't know, man. It was just like 20 minutes, you know.
Yeah, so don't worry. I have it all fresh in my head still. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get rid of it.
Yeah, and it's not really something I would want to rewatch again.
Yeah.
Hey, did you know that this has been renewed?
Oh my god, why?
Yeah, I was the one to tell him.
Did you know that it was only in development for a year before it was released?
It sure as hell looks that way.
Yep.
If Netflix cancels Voltron but allows this to keep going, that makes me tempted to like get rid of Netflix. I mean, I like Daredevil more than Voltron, but on the principle of letting that go and yet continuing on with King Kong, like no Netflix.
Bad Netflix. Bad.
I'm gonna slap you. I'm gonna think about what you did.
It's such a just awful show. So like I guess my main thing that there are like a lot of little things in this series that really get to me, but the thing that I think got me the most at first is the pilot for the show is like an hour and a half, 3-part story, right?
Yeah, it's a movie.
Yeah. And each of those half-hour segments could be a pilot for an equally bad King Kong show. And that really gets to me. Because, like, the first half hour, they find Kong, they raise him on their houseboat, but he gets too big, and then they go live out in the redwoods. And so it's like, oh, okay, they're going to be living out in the redwoods and avoiding the police for the rest of the series and trying to do, you know, good things along the way.
And you
fine.
assumed that they were just going to stay kids, right?
Yeah, and like, okay,
that's what I thought too.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, fine, that's gonna be our series. But then we like jump ahead and do all this shit, and then the next half hour is about setting up Kong Island, and it's like, oh, okay, so they're gonna be on this island, and they're gonna go out to like find endangered animals to bring back to the sanctuary and stuff, and the brother's gonna be a dick about it and like trying to foil their attempts the whole time. Nope, that's thrown out, and by the time you get to the last half hour of the pilot, which is the series where the evil brother is stationed on the island, and his family and Kong are out hiding in the wilderness. So it's like this weird mix of what the first half hour could have been, and what the second half hour was gonna be, and then what the third half hour ends up being.
Yeah, that was I kind of had that too, where I just kept trying to figure out where was the status quo going to begin.
It took a long time to get there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess that's like kudos for keeping me guessing, but at the same time, could you do it in a way where you're not keeping me guessing while I'm watching a bunch of shit?
True. But for me, it was I kind of had a relief that it wasn't going that first direction we thought, because the main kid, I have a list of their names because none of them are rememberable at all. Lucas, I was relieved that we weren't going to keep them as kids because Lucas's voice as a kid is annoying as all hell. So I was relieved that they were going to mature into adults.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It doesn't really matter because after they go to
There's kids
them being an
anyway.
adult, yeah, they're kids anyway. There's like that little Asian kid, and I just like to call him Short Round because he looks like Short Round, and he's just a shy bit as not quite as annoying as Short Round. He's just a slight bit off from that level, but it's just he's just as an annoying a voice actor, and he gets into a bunch of stupid situations too.
I know.
Oh,
I would say that at least he doesn't have that annoying accent of Short Round, but then again, there's another character that does have an annoying accent.
yeah, the little Mexican girl.
Although
And
maybe
here's
I shouldn't be one to talk about annoying accents.
Well, here's the thing that pisses me off about this show the most is there are a lot of like things that it's doing on a meta level that would be fantastic. You know, it's a King Kong show that's actually about environmentalism and protecting endangered species and stuff. And that's a really brilliant thing to do with King Kong. And then it's also got a very diverse cast, and that's really cool too, because we need more of that. But it's done so poorly in every conceivable way. It's like it feels like nothing but just trying to capitalize on people wanting more of that kind of thing. So it doesn't feel genuine. It feels cheap.
Would you say that Captain Planet did it better?
Yes, and how sad is that?
Both in the diversity and in the environmental messages.
Yes, exactly.
And that was
exactly.
20 years ago. 26.
Don Cheadle's Captain Planet did it better than that.
Don Cheadle should have been never mind.
No, it's just, like, that really annoys me about it, is it's doing these great things on a conceptual level that more shows need to do, and it just does them so poorly, so it doesn't even feel like it's being genuine about it. It just feels like a cash grab, and that pisses me off. So, I don't know, you take us somewhere. What's something that annoyed you about this series, or would you like to try to talk about something you liked about it?
Okay, well, I think what annoyed me the most, or one of the things that annoyed me the most, was the fact that was the utter stupidity of the public.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole premise of the show is that, you know, this team is on the run from the villains, and so it just seemed like utterly stupid that they would side with Richard, you know, the villain, because you've always used that Black Mask joke, you know, to explain about Black Mask, about how why would you side with a man with a skull mask or with a skull on his face that's permanently like that? And it's the same case here, where why would you give all this trust to a man who has a robot eye, and on the other eye it's a huge black ring?
Right, and like that's the thing. It's like, you know, the Black Mask joke was, you know, imagine Black Mask on trial, and like the defense is all like, my client is clearly innocent and is just a scarred individual, and all the prosecution has to say is like, he has a fucking skull for a face. He's obviously evil, and like this is the exact same thing. He's got like a bionic eye that turns red when he's angry or plotting something evil.
I know, when none of the characters are like, hey, what's wrong with your eye? It's changing color.
Yeah, and like even more so than that is like not even only is the general public stupid, because I mean, hey, it's Americans, so why not? But it's like the police are just freaking morons too. There's no one in this series is intelligent except for Lucas. Like,
Yeah.
not even the people working with Lucas, just Lucas. He's the only smart one.
I know. Not only does he have the robot eye and the black eye, his other eye, but also he's got a huge flap His shirt, his jacket has like a huge flap, and that's a common trope with supervillains.
Yeah, I don't understand it. And then, like, I mean, he walks around with a sex robot, right?
I know. I kept thinking about Ex Machina.
It's like a really creepy dude who's got his fucking cybernetic eye that turns red whenever he's mad or thinking of evil things. And he's always got his sex robot around. I bet he takes that thing to parties and everyone just feels really fucking awkward.
I know, and that robot like was very flexible, and like she could turn her head all the way, and her arms and legs. And I'm like, I know what's going on there.
Yeah, exactly. I will say I think she's probably like I'll be positive for a second or two. I think Botila. Botila. Yeah, Botila is my favorite character in the series, and that's not saying much. But like she does have some of the best jokes in the series and just some of the best dialogue. What's the name of the Jonesy, right?
Yeah, Jonesy.
Yeah. There's this scene where he and her are in the woods and they're like chasing after a liger or something. And, you know, he's trying to stalk her so that he can, like, you know, take her by surprise or whatever. And she hears his heart beating and then sneaks up behind him and grabs him and she goes, "Is your heart beating for me?" And, like, that was, you know, because there's this, like, you know, sexual tension dynamic between them. And I thought that was a really well-written line. It's just too bad that everything else surrounding it was a mountain of flaming garbage covered in dung thrown by King Kong.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that that's really the only romantic plot we have on the show is that. Like, you would think that Lucas and Amy would have something, but they don't. And also, Amy has absolutely nothing to her at all, just woman.
She is so just a non-presence throughout the entire series.
I know!
She just comes and goes out of nowhere. Like, she's the one that I think is still living in the city, which, I mean, why wouldn't you just be following her around all the time? Like, not even for, Richard, right? Shit. Who's, the brothers, the
Richard,
evil brothers. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Not even for Richard to follow her around all the time. Why wouldn't the cops constantly follow her around?
Yeah, I didn't really notice that she was the one who was still hanging out in the city. Probably because I didn't notice anything about her, character-wise, at all.
Yeah, I mean, she is a very much a non-entity, and she has almost no effect on the series as a whole. I don't know, maybe I just find it strange that two children are able to go fuck off into the woods and no one, like, is concerned about them.
Yeah, like, when they introduced that other kid, Anita, it felt like after the pilot movie, I felt that they were doubling down on two things that they did not need to double down on. One was a kid character, and the other was a Latino stereotype.
Yep. Yep. Because you already had the maid slash nanny slash cook, and that was pretty like, she's not, I guess she's a stereotype, but not in a way that it gets overly offensive, just kind of, you know, stupid. But yeah, they just throw the little girl in, and she's the smart kid, and Danny, or Short Round as I like to call him, is the dumb one.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that pissed me off about him, he's not an animal whisperer. He straight up fucking translates.
I know, he's like Eliza Thornberry or Magneto's daughter from X-Men Apocalypse. He has a mutant power.
Right? Like, he's a straight up translator, and that's not what animal whispering is. Animal whispering is reading behavior and being able to calm animals. It's not being able to translate for him. And I don't know why they needed a translator when Kong is, like, just shy of Scooby-Doo levels of being able to talk anyway.
I can see that this is hurting you a lot, giving you some physical pain.
Yes. There's so many things just wrong with this. I don't know how things like this make it through any level of production. Like, it's just, people talk about, oh, this movie is such garbage, so bad. I'm like, no, are you serious? Have you watched this?
See, that's why they made this, to make other things look better in comparison.
That's a very noble effort on their part. God damn.
You were mentioning Richard earlier. I'm kind of disappointed that they've missed the opportunity to make a dick joke, because your villain's name is Richard. So there should have been a scene where one of them yelled at him, "Dick!" And he would have been like, "No, I prefer to be called Richard, thank you."
That'd have been fun. I don't know. There's the episode where they make Kong tiny. I thought that was kind of a neat idea in the short term.
It seemed like a bit of a stretch to all of a sudden have shrink rays when really like everything else seems a little bit more grounded than that. You know, just robots and stuff.
I mean, jetpacks and robots and like shrink rays, I guess, was the farthest out there they got. But I mean, they were using jetpacks the whole series and, you know, lasers.
Well, at least with jetpacks and lasers, those are things that scientists are at least trying to attain. I don't think anyone's trying with shrink rays at the moment.
Well, if they're not, then they should be.
Yeah, that's probably true. So that we can shrink elephants and have them in our homes.
Yes, puppy-sized elephants would be amazing pets. Can we just talk about that for the next half hour?
Yes, let's talk about all of the animals and how they're better characters than the humans. Except for the parrot. The parrot should have died.
I actually would have really respected Richard as a villain much more if he had killed that fucking bird.
I know!
Because, like, they set it up like he might, because, you know, they have that line in, you know, forgive me because it has been a while, but they have that line in the pilot where they talk about whether or not they'll be able to save Richard, and what's the fucking name of the bird?
Chatter. Chatter.
Yeah, Chatter comes in and is like, Chatter first bionic bird, Richard first bionic boy. And like, wouldn't Richard have just immediately come off as more badass if he fucking killed the bird for that?
See, I wasn't thinking about that because I was too busy covering my ears from the utter screeching from that annoying ass bird.
Fair enough. Certainly.
Like the voice actor was given no direction as to actually sound like a parrot, just to sound annoying. Like, don't even try to sound like a parrot.
Yeah, I agree. It's like everything else in the series, just really fucking bad. And inexcusably so.
I liked the cyborg seal. The cyborg cereal, Cyborg seal was my favorite character.
Explain.
Because he's a cyborg seal.
Fantastic reasoning.
When will I ever
say
cyborg seal?
Say cyborg seal 5 times fast.
I already messed up when I said it the second time. I said cereal, so I'd imagine I wouldn't be lucky with five times. Okay, fine, I'll do it. Cyborg cereal. See, I already messed up. I already said cereal.
Sorry, I'm having too much fun at this point. You made me watch this. I will put you through whatever torments I can imagine while I have you on this podcast.
It was a suggestion. It was not a command.
It's okay. I'll just secretly hate you forever regardless.
Yay.
Okay, so other things that are awful. Okay, this was just fucking weird. And I don't understand if there was any thought put into this decision. But maybe you can explain it to me.
Okay.
What the fuck was up with the unlockables?
Oh, those. Oh. Um, I think the point of those was that the creators of the show were trying to take advantage of this medium being Netflix, that they're on a website, and I guess they were thinking, hey, what if we tried to do something here that we couldn't do on a TV show? So let's sort of turn this into sort of like a video game, but not that much like a video game, but enough that makes you feel like it's a video game, even though it's not.
You know what it makes me think of? There's this picture floating around a long time ago of this dad who was a gamer, and he had two kids on his lap, and they all had controllers, and the kids were, really young. And the kids' controllers were dead and didn't have batteries in them. And the dad had his arms around both of them, and he had a controller that was actually working and was actually controlling the game. So what he was doing was making them think that they were playing in order to keep them pacified. And I feel like that's what this was.
He is the executive producer of this show.
I would not be surprised if that turned out to be true.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe that's a really old picture, and maybe those children kept that lesson with them for the rest of their lives, and they went on to create this series.
And what gets me is that if you choose one of the two weapons or one of the power-ups that he gets in the episode, sometimes through no reason whatsoever, sometimes when he gets the power-up, like, it gives you the option to retry and use a different power-up, because, obviously one video is where he wins the battle, and the other is where he loses. And so I feel like it would have been better if you make your decision, and if you lose, it's like, too bad, let's move on to the next episode. Teach the kids about failure.
No, you can't have that, because then you'd actually have to put thought into it. Oh, my God. Okay, so I've been avoiding this one.
Mm-hmm.
This is the worst animated series I've ever seen in my entire life.
Ah.
I'm
trying to think back right now. I'm not completely sure I'd say that, but...
Okay, let me explain some of the stuff that pissed me off, because I think it's like the third or fourth episode where Kong is seen robbing a truck, and then he jumps off the Golden Gate Bridge into the water, right?
That overdone plot used in just about every show and movie ever of the imposter of the hero.
Yeah. So, he jumps off the bridge, and then they're, looking at him, and they go, well, no, it couldn't possibly have been Kong, because if it was, he'd be all wet. And I'm like, fucking bullshit, because every other time in this entire series that Kong goes in the water, even while he's in the water, he isn't wet. Even when he's underwater swimming, his fur doesn't look like it's wet. And so...
I think they fixed that later in the series, but I think that was after it was too late with the others. Like, no, we already finished and locked them down, so we're just going to have to make up for it later in the show.
I don't really think it looks slightly more like it's matted together, but it still doesn't look like it's dripping. And God, I mean, maybe that was a good decision, the way that they do particle effects in this series. Anytime that someone gets splashed, or Kong will, and this is fucking disgusting. I don't know why this needs to be in a children's show. And Kong will snot boogers all over somebody.
I remember that.
Yeah. Those are called particle effects when you have a fluid moving like that across the air. And the particles are so big that they're individually sized. You can see all the blobs of each individual particle, and that's really shit work on particle effects. They were doing better particle effects back in the 90s with the Spyro games.
To defend that snot scene, I feel like it is a chance to educate kids on how owning a pet will get really gross at times.
I mean, I came home from work just about 10 minutes before we started recording, and my lizard had shat twice while I was gone, so fair point.
See, yeah, that's what they leave out on Clifford the Big Red Dog, is that must be the most disgusting thing to ever do is raise a dog that's the size of an elephant. That,
I'm sorry, that was really funny.
I know they did. Surely, if that was actually the case in real life, that would just be a miserable time. Just all the disgusting things to deal with.
Fucking licks you and you're just like covered in slobber for days.
Yeah, and you have to deal with the giant erect penis.
Brings a whole new meaning to Red Rocket. Okay, I guess. No,
I'm trying to give us some levity to this because you've been sounding depressed, so I'm trying to lighten things up.
No, I appreciate it. No, the animation is I think the thing that just pisses me off the most, because people will often make the argument against CGI animation is that it's lazier than 2D animation, and it's really not. It's just a different kind of work goes into it. But this is clearly an example of where no work went into it. And it's not just the animation, even just the designs, a lot of the modeling is terrible.
I was gonna say, I'm not sure if I might have forgotten it until you brought it up. Like the main character, Lucas, he looks like he got punched in the face.
Yeah, he's got a really big schnoz, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks like he got punched in the face and he never healed. And I just and as I was watching it, I kept wondering, like, when are you gonna heal, man? I'm concerned.
Yeah, he's got like a scar above his eye or whatever. And then like, you look at the grass, particularly in the on Kong Island or whatever. You look at the grass, and it's just like flat green, with no like. There's not even a ramp of different color on it. It's just straight flat green. That's terrible.
Well, maybe it's just green carpet.
That's a nice... You mean in the island built by nature enthusiasts, they just decided, you know what? No, green carpet. That's what the animals will really like.
Their budget was cut, and they had to figure out where to deal with it, and that's what they chose.
Yeah, I don't know, like, just anything. Just putting little puffs of paint effect grass up would be better than that. Like, even if you're gonna do just a flat surface, no texture to it, why not a ramp? Why can't you do a ramp? I don't understand. And a ramp is where you'd have, like, the darker shade of green, and it would slowly transition to a lighter shade of green, so it just looked like, light was affecting it more, right?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, why not? Can you give me any reason that it would be harder to texture a ramp than it would to just one simple color? It's like 2 clicks, I swear to God.
Maybe they thought, well, we could do this, but everything else
we
is
really
shit,
need to
so
piss
why
off
should we
Ian.
bother?
Pretty much, right? Okay, what else with the animation can I complain about? Oh, when Kong grows in the pilot, it just looks like they keyframed the scale tool.
Yeah.
Like he just gets bigger, and it makes it look like he ate a fucking mushroom out of the Mario games.
By the way, I've been trying for all this time to figure out what Kong looks like in my head, and this version of Kong, and I didn't realize it until just before we recorded. That meme that's going around everywhere of SpongeBob as a Neanderthal SpongeGar?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's more like it's more like Patar, Patrick's Neanderthal form. He looks like that. Like Patrick is a Neanderthal.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that.
Like when they do a close up on him when he's smiling. Like that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree.
Just no dignity whatsoever. Nothing that makes him look intimidating.
Ugh.
Remember when King Kong used to be like a horror villain? Remember those days?
Yeah, remember when King Kong used to be cool?
Yeah.
And before he became Wonder Woman with a jetpack? Like, that's something else I don't understand. Don't get me wrong, I love Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's awesome. Kong doesn't need to be Wonder Woman. Just Maybe that's
Should have
controversial.
had the
I don't
lasso
know.
of truth, and he should. Well, he didn't have the lasso of truth, or the bracelets.
No, he did have the bracelets.
Oh wait, Oh yeah, he did. Oh, I just remember that.
Yeah, and sorry, I should have finished this series earlier. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I didn't
Yeah,
finish it until Voltron came up because I didn't want to I didn't want to watch Voltron knowing that I still have to get over King Kong, so I just got that over with.
Yeah, no, so the fucking bracelets are just stupid as shit. And Jonesy is a genius that doesn't need to be doing what he's doing. He could be making billions of dollars in engineering.
I know, right? Jonesy?
Did you ever watch the 90s Godzilla show, the one based off the 98 movie?
No, I'm aware of a lot of it.
I mean, it's actually pretty well done, and it is more of a Godzilla show than the movie is a Godzilla movie. But it does a lot of the same things. It's got like a team, they gotta go over the world and deal with, shit. That series is doing a lot of the same things that this series is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Just, better. And it even has, I think the character in that is supposed to be like Dominican or whatever. But it has like a black or whatever character who's a tech whiz and all that stuff too. And to make it even worse, he has dreads. This guy doesn't quite have dreads. He has some kind of weird ass.
He's got like an afro going on there.
He's got like an afro that's becoming dreads.
He's like if someone was asked in the 90s to design a black man in an action show for a 90s animated show.
It's so out of date, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, what the hell is he wearing? Like, what is that? Like, at first I thought it was like a rescuer's uniform because he and Lucas were introduced as rescuers, but no one else wears that.
Yep. That gets really annoying. And just generally, there's so much derivative about this because Kong is Wonder Woman. The whole series, just you've seen it all before in the 90s and early 2000s. And then the only thing that I think is updated about it is that Lucas and Richard are Thor and Loki.
Oh yeah, there's that.
It's that exact same dynamic of one's the evil brother and one's the dashing good guy and stuff.
I mean, you could say that that's been a thing for a very long time, that type of dynamic between hero and villain.
Yeah, but it's not been... I don't know if it's been brotherly in a while. I can't think of any other brother relationships. And Thor and Loki
King.
have got... True. But they're not really the protagonist and antagonist of the series, of the movie, though, are they? You wouldn't call Scar and Mufasa the protagonist and antagonist. It's Scar and Simba.
Yeah, true. I was just wondering. That's really the only one that comes to mind, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, Thor and Loki are the ones that have been popular lately, and even so, I mean, Lucas looks kind of like Thor, and then Richard has, the green color palette and green and black color palette.
They must have made him blonde purposely to throw me off so that I wouldn't notice that he's a Loki clone.
I mean, the only reason I think he's blonde is because they're supposed to be twins.
Yeah, that too.
I don't like the dad. I think the dad is an irresponsible human being.
Well, then good he's dead.
Yeah.
He died because he was irresponsible.
Right? His son is, like, clearly a sociopath.
Yeah.
You know how, like, every time there's some kind of serial killer caught or whatever, they go and interview the neighbors and the family, and they're all like, oh, we never knew. He always seemed so nice, and you always think in the back of your head, no, bullshit, you fucking knew, and you just didn't say anything. This dad, like, if he'd survived to see his son become evil, he would have been all like, oh, I never knew, and everyone would have looked at him like, bullshit, you fucking knew, and you know that you knew.
Do you know how you want to kill the parent figure off, but you don't want to explain it? Just have them cough and then say it was an illness.
Right, it came out of nowhere. He just like coughs in one scene, and like 2 scenes later, oh, he's dead, and now we're all sad. Where the fuck did that come from?
They didn't want to. They didn't want to deal with him anymore. They just decided to put him away.
I guess. Oh.
So, sorry, I had a Porky Pig moment.
It's okay.
I'm amazed that I've been able to get this far without doing that.
No, it's fine, really.
Yeah.
I hadn't been a problem. Okay, so let's try to be positive for just a little bit, just to dig ourselves out of this pit of depression.
Okay, I'll try.
What is something that you liked about the series?
I know you've been going on this rant about Richard, but that was actually a highlight for me, was that character, Richard. Just because it was just, as I said before, I was in an utter relief that they didn't go that first direction of them as kids. Because I thought it was like a really interesting twist to me that this kid who seems like he's going to be just like that character who gets annoyed by Kong, and he's like the Squidward of the show. But it turns out he's not the Squidward of the show. He's actually the villain after he goes through his transformation and gets the cyborg eye.
Yeah. Like I like a lot of the ideas behind that stuff. I just think that he's a really shitty villain once he gets going.
Yeah.
And he has no consistency in his plans. Like, sometimes he wants to rule the world, and other times he just wants to kill Kong, and other times he just wants to get rich.
Yeah, it feels very much that they're just hitting all the possible beats you could with a supervillain, and I should know considering I am one. But it feels like
are you offended by this
everything.
portrayal of a supervillain? Are you offended by this blatant stereotype of supervillainy?
I wouldn't say so. I'm not sure. I view him as like the Justin Bieber of supervillains, where he's not too offensive. It's more like I feel sorry for him, you know?
Oh, I don't know, man.
Like when they introduced his when they introduced Botila, like it was clear, like from the millisecond I saw that character, it was clear that she is the Starscream archetype, that she would eventually betray him. Like that was inevitable. Like that was completely predictable.
Yeah, I mean, everything in this show is completely predictable. And Botila is the thing that I like the most in this. You know, the whole running gag with her laugh, it goes on for too long, but it was, you know, it was at least amusing for a little bit. Seeing her kind of play Richard and Lucas and Jonesy and everyone against each other was kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that was something that I wasn't sure of. Like, I knew she was going to portray him, but I wasn't sure if it was to be on the good guy's side or if it was to be the main villain instead of him. Like, that was something I was not sure. Like, whether or not she... Because there were points in the show, as you said, where it did seem like she was leaning towards the good side.
Yeah, and so she's kind of on her own side throughout this, which, I don't know, that's kind of cool, I guess. I guess just the problem with that is I don't know what her end goal is then. Because, you know, I no idea what Richard wants besides just Kong dead. That's the only consistent goal for him.
I know. What does he do once he does that? Like, what's he going to do afterwards?
I guess it's that whole idea of there's no one to stand in my way for my ultimate goal, which I don't have. But, like, more so, I don't know what Botila wants. Like, okay, you take over from Richard's spot. Are you gonna make robots to rule the world?
Yeah, like...
'Cause that's a weird thing to do in a Kong series. That's a really weird direction to take a villain for a Kong series, robot apocalypse. I don't think I would ever have thought of that.
I mean, this isn't the first time Kong has gone up against a robot. I mean, there was that Toho movie where he went up against Mechanicon.
Yeah, but that's Mechanicon, right? And then there's the episode where they make Botila a giant, and they put Botila in the brain of the T-Rex or whatever.
Yeah, that.
They call that episode Botzilla, and that's just really fucking on the nose.
And they even mention Godzilla in that episode. So Godzilla exists as a fictional character in this universe.
That's disappointing. That could have been like the one thing to make it good, is if Godzilla just showed up and fucking murdered everybody.
Yes, everybody. Just grabbed King Kong and reenacts that climactic scene of the 2014 Godzilla movie, where he vomits blue Gatorade into King Kong's mouth, and then King Kong is decapitated, and then Godzilla throws King Kong's head on the ground.
That's what I jerk off to.
Got some weird fetishes.
Don't judge. To each their own.
That's coming from a guy who has a talking rabbit.
Yeah, hey, no judgment here. This is a judgment-free zone. Yeah, there's so much I don't like about this series, and then there's like, it's one of those annoying things, because anytime I can find any small thing about it to latch onto of, oh, well, at least I have this, they do something to ruin it. And that annoys me.
Yeah, you when you were on your Twitter, you got ahead of me. You got ahead of me at points, and then I got ahead of you ultimately. So I was ultimately the winner of this race that no one wanted to complete. But anyway, but when you were ahead of me, you mentioned that there's this one episode that makes no sense when you watch the end of the previous episode, and then I think I figured out which one that was. What was it? The one where Botila shrinks Richard and says that I'm going to be in control now, but then in the next episode, that never seemed to happen.
Yes. What the shit with that?
I know. I
Why?
was completely jarred by that. I was completely taken aback. Like, what is happening?
I don't understand where that came from. It's like, okay, yeah, now she's going to make her move. And then the next episode, she's just walking around the place. And so I was like wondering, is this fucking aired out of order? Because I think there are 2 episodes that are like flip-flopped and need to air one before the other. But no, it's just never fucking brought up again.
And also that episode ended the same exact way, where she takes over and betrays him.
Yeah.
And what I was afraid from that was, wait a minute, is this going to be a Groundhog situation where every episode ends with her betraying him and then the next one begins with everything normal again, and it's just going to be a continuous loop for all of time?
Fuck it, why not?
Like, that's how every episode begins and ends, is that way.
Yeah. I mean, it would make just about as much sense as everything else in the episode does. And, like, here's the other thing. All right, so the series ends with Botila kicking Richard down a fucking volcano.
Yeah, that's like the freeze frame moment that this show ends on, is that. It's his big face, big stupid face, screaming.
Yeah, but here's the thing. She shouldn't be able to do that. When they reached a stalemate, Richard programmed it so that she would, like, self-destruct or some shit.
Really?
If she betrayed him.
I don't remember that. I guess the producers didn't remember that either.
Well, like, they reached a stalemate where Richard couldn't deprogram her, because if he did, he would lose all of his money and, like, his secrets would be revealed to the world. And she couldn't, like, kill him or whatever, because if she did, then she would self-destruct or her programming would no longer function or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that truce they had. But I knew that he secretly had plans of betraying her ultimately. So I guess it was the same thing the other way around.
Yeah, but like she shouldn't have been able to do that without dying herself.
Well, maybe that's how the season 2 premiere begins, is with her exploding.
Why not just kill off the best character?
Well, didn't she create another Botila, or did that Botila get destroyed?
She did that for a while, where she was just creating other robots.
Yeah, she
Which
made
again,
another Richard as her sex robot.
sex robots building their own sex robots in a King Kong show.
That's how Terminator actually happened.
Skynet was just a porn site.
Yeah.
Oh, this I like. This I'm so much more okay with than what we got.
What?
Just robot apocalypse.
Oh yeah,
Sex robot apocalypse. Hashtag sex robot apocalypse. Yeah, I'm gonna tweet that real quick. Give me a minute.
No context whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm just gonna tweet out hashtag sex robot apocalypse.
And everyone
Hashtag
is going to
Kong
wonder
Games.
what the hell you're talking about. Like,
Yeah, I can't wait to see what.
does
my
this have to
fiancé
do
thinks
with
of
the
it.
election? What? Is this something that does this have to do with something that Donald Trump said?
Would it really surprise you at this point?
No. I was
okay.
I was really disappointed that we didn't stay with we didn't stay with that status quo of Richard having to side with the good guys. Like I would have preferred if they just stayed with that the rest of the season, since we only had like a couple episodes.
Yeah, they come up with like a neat, cool little idea that could work for at least an episode or two, and then they just drop it halfway through the episode.
That could have been the way you end the season, is that, you know, if he's going to betray them, have it be at the finale. Like, don't do it in your same episode where you started this ordeal for him.
Yeah, that just would have been more interesting inherently.
Yeah.
Because you could have had him playing off the idea of, oh, he's learned, he's changed, and you could have made it work. You could have had that where, like, we start to sympathize with him again.
Yeah, no, it was kind of like fun to see, like, you know, characters changing with their, you know, different situations. Like now he's the butt of jokes, and he's all sad, and he looks like he's using emotions that the animators never gave him before. Where he looks legitimately sad.
Got to break out those new blend shapes. Yep. And then they just drop it. They just drop so many, like, anything that is potentially good about this series is immediately ruined. And that's just disappointing.
So, do you feel like speculating for the next season, since we know it's confirmed, or are you?
Sure. It's gonna be just as awful.
Apparently, what they're going with is, I guess they're going to try to explore the origins of Kong. I guess.
Yeah, because they're doing that whole, like, the series ends with Richard and the kids, my bad, Lucas and the kids dropping into an area with actual dinosaurs, which just generally, whenever people do this whole, like, paradise oasis at the center of the earth thing, it never makes any goddamn sense, because how the fuck are you getting sunlight? But
I know I brought that up in one of my reviews for Who Reviews the Reviewers, one of my book about unexplained things like weird phenomena and legends and stuff. And I mentioned that some of them make no sense and have no possibility whatsoever of existing, and that was one of them, was the hollow earth theory.
yeah, I'm just like, people like fucking Journey to the Center of the Earth, one of the Ice Age movies does this. There are all these movies where there's like a hidden oasis underground, but somehow there's sunlight, and it doesn't make any goddamn sense. The sun needs to go through things to have light. So unless there are just these gigantic fucking holes in the ground so that your oasis would be easily discovered constantly, it doesn't make any sense.
They derive so many things on this show. Maybe they derived from the Land of the Lost, where it's like a time thing, like a different dimension thing.
Oh yeah, because of all the things that you're gonna rip off, you should rip off Land of the Lost. Okay. Yeah, speculation. Well, Well, I guess they're gonna have to deal with that for probably an episode. They'll probably just do the same shit again, where they'll have like kind of a neat little idea, and then they'll immediately, use it up in one episode. And now that Richard is revealed to be the bad guy to the rest of the world because the rest of society finally caught on. Now that Richard's revealed to be the bad guy, I guess that Botila is going to be the villain, and Richard maybe, there's no way he's going to team up with her again after she tried to kill him.
Yeah.
I'd like to say if the series had any semblance of logic to it, but they might team up together, and then they'll be the renegades, and Lucas and Kong and everybody will move back into Kong Island.
Yeah, it could be interesting if they do a Prince Zuko with him, where each season he's at a different state of his morality. Where the first season he's a full-on villain, and the second season he's not sure, he doesn't know what his identity is, and then in the third season he's a full-on hero.
Yeah. Sorry.
I see this show is literally killing you.
Yep.
It's giving you the disease that the father had.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave Geeky Gentleman to Steve.
Backseat?
Yep.
No. At first I thought you meant me because that's my civilian name, Steve.
Oh.
Oh no! I just
Aha!
revealed
Your
my
secret's
identity.
revealed. Yep. Your secrets are revealed.
You don't know my last name though, so that's still.
It's not like it's written right here on the Skype window.
fuck!
You're really bad at keeping a secret identity. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Shit! Damn it!
Okay, is there anything else we want to talk about with this series, or have we suffered enough?
I think we've revealed everything, or we've talked about everything. I think you always say that there's always stuff that you think of right after you're done, and you're like, oh, I should have thought of that one. Like, I'm trying to avoid that right now.
No, I think I'm good. I just wanted to rant and talk about how much.
Oh, there's one last thing I wanted to say, just a tiny nitpick of the last episode. And two things really about the last episode are regarding Jonesy. Okay, first of all, he's mute for the last two episodes. So it seems clear that maybe that means that the voice actor wasn't available for that last two. Because why else would they contrive him, like, having some kind of voice complication?
That is really weird. I remember noticing that too.
And also, there's this one scene where he's got bugs on him and he's trying to itch them, and Short Round and Kong both think that he's breakdancing, and I'm like, hey, that's racist. Just because he's black does not mean that he's breakdancing.
Yeah. That was stupid. Just like everything else, so at least it's consistent. I'll give that to the show. It's at least consistent in how horrendous it is.
Yes.
Okay, let's do scores. You know how scores work on this show, right?
Yes, I'm familiar.
Okay. Why don't you go first then?
Okay. Oh god. I guess I guess I'll give this, now this might be predictable, but I'll give this 1 out of 5. You guys do 5, right?
Yep.
I'll give this 1 out of 5 cyborg seals.
Good one. I think this might be the lowest score I've ever given. I only liked consistently, and even then not so much, one thing about this entire series.
The sex robot?
The sex robot. And even she, in her brief moments that I do like her, isn't enough to give it any score. I'm going to give this 0 out of 5 puddles of giant gorilla snot.
So what I'm wondering is whether or not you want to make this a tradition where after a season is aired of this, we talk about it.
Oh, why would you... Dude, no! Why would you do that to
Whoops,
me?
sorry. Whoops. I mean, usually Netflix does like once a year for their season, so it could just be a yearly thing.
Oh. And you asked me on recording, too. You know what?
You could edit it out.
No, I'm not going to edit it
Sure.
out. I'm not going to edit it out. It's a fair question. And I will leave it up to the people to decide.
Okay, we'll leave this to
Viewers-
democracy.
Yeah, viewers in the comments below, if you want to hear me bitch and moan about this show more, go ahead and say yes, Ian, please do season 2 with good plot.
I mean, there is a chance of it improving. Maybe. A teeny tiny chance.
I don't know if you're stupid or optimistic.
Well, I know how you are about optimism.
Yeah. No, this is one of the worst things ever, and the only way I could imagine it improving is to just end it.
True.
But yeah, you know what? I will leave it up to democracy. I need at least 10 votes total, and if it can win a majority of those, then we'll do it. But if we can't get more than 10 people to vote yay or nay on it, then I'm not doing it.
Am I making you regret ever interacting with me?
Yes, but that's okay. I brought this on myself. I should have known when talking to a supervillain. You do art, right? You wanted, like, any chance you could throw together a title card for this?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I know exactly.
When would you need it?
I know. I want to try to get this up sometime in this coming week. Hopefully before we post the latest fan film episode. But here's my concept. Let me throw it at you, and you people watching this will get to tell me whether or not this is what we get. But
yeah, they're the ones who know ultimately.
Yeah.
They know whether or
so,
not I screwed up.
Yeah, so Clockwork Orange?
I haven't seen the whole movie.
Have you seen the scene where they make Alex watch the movies?
Yes.
He's got that... Yeah, you know how he's got the thing on his head that, like, keeps his eyes open, and there's, like, the guy that's sitting there doing eye droplets for him?
Okay, I think I'm seeing what you're saying.
Yeah, make me Alex, and you can be the motherfucker there putting the droplets in my eyes.
I've never drawn myself. I never got to it, so this could be some groundbreaking stuff.
Yeah, if you can do it in time and stuff, because I'd like to get it posted this week since I teased it on the last episode, that'd be great. If not, everyone watching, you at least have that very funny image in your mind. So yeah, that was Kong, King of the Apes.
And I'll make sure to include on the screen the big derpy King Kong face.
Yeah. I don't know how, but you make it work. You're the artist. That's just the general concept I'll throw at you. All right. Thanks everybody for watching and enjoying my pain. Until next time, I'm the philosopher.
I'm the... fuck.
Supervillain?
Yeah, sure. I was going to say I'm the fuck, as you just saw, so I could say that, but fine. I'm the supervillain, even though that's predictable as all hell.
And we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.
So the music is going on right now, right? And we're still talking and we're fading away, right?